Over the past years, archaeologists have tirelessly searched for and uncovered the mysteries of ancient times, opening doors to fascinating insights about Earth's history and the origins of humanity. Ancient ruins, remarkable artifacts, and traces of fierce wars continue to slowly reveal themselves before our eyes. These explorations are not just about material remains. Each piece discovered carries a mysterious story, imbued with incredibly valuable historical significance. These could be Buddhist relics hidden for free, offers us a new perspective on how our ancestors lived, fought, and thrived through fluctuating periods. Join us today as we embark on a journey to explore the extraordinary stories behind these discoveries. The ancient Buddhist stupa emerges from the Mekong River. Recently, a large number of tourists flocked to Nong Khai province in northeastern Thailand to witness the Phray That Kleng Nam stupa. This religious structure is believed to have been built around 700 years ago on the banks of the Mekong River. In 1847, the stupa collapsed into the river and was completely submerged. For a long time, the structure was entirely hidden as the river changed its course. But in recent days, as the water level of the Mekong River has dropped, the stupa has unexpectedly resurfaced, attracting even more pilgrims to the site. Some visitors have walked along the riverbank or even rowed boats to get closer to the structure. The lowered water level has revealed the erosion taking place on the ancient structure. The flow of the Mekong River is also gradually wearing away the outer layers of stone. According to the traditional Buddhist chronicle Urang Kathat, the Phray That Kleng Nam stupa is said to house the bones of the Buddha. The square-shaped structure, which has since been broken into 3 parts, was constructed in the 15th century. This is perhaps one of the most shocking discoveries that archaeologists never hoped to encounter. The 2,500-year-old mummy that shocked the world. In 1993, the mummy of a woman was discovered in the frozen Ukok Plateau in Siberia, Russia. The media at the time dubbed the mummy the Princess of Ukok, or the Ice Maiden. This is one of the most significant and shocking archaeological discoveries of the 20th century. Thanks to modern scientific techniques, many mysteries surrounding this woman have slowly been uncovered. Experts revealed that the mummy belonged to a noblewoman of the Pazyryk culture. The Princess of Ukok lived around the 5th century BC, and the mummy is estimated to be about 2,500 years old. What is remarkable is that when the archaeologists excavated the tomb, they were surprised by how intact the grave was. It had never been disturbed by tomb robbers. The coffin was still sealed, and the mummy was very well preserved. Even at the time of discovery, the ice inside the tomb had not melted since it had frozen thousands of years ago. However, the true identity of the mummy remains a mystery. Some findings suggest she may have been a shaman or a spiritual leader. Her tomb was also located far from other graves, as in nomadic herding communities, only shamans were buried separately. Additionally, chemical analysis revealed traces of mercury and copper in her nasal cavity. She may have inhaled these substances to expand her consciousness and enter a trance-like state. Moreover, the mummy was found wearing an elaborate headdress, indicating she might have been a shaman. Experts also discovered tattoos on the mummy, which were common among the Pazyryk people. However, later tests revealed that the woman's lineage traced back to European ancestors. But the MRI results were even more surprising. The mummy was very slim, unlike other noble mummies found previously, who were well fed even before death. In fact, they were often quite large. Furthermore, this woman was tall for her time, around 165 to 170 centimeters, but only weighed 49 kilograms. Finally, analysis revealed that the Princess of Ukok had late-stage cancer. She was very ill but was not abandoned by her tribe. They took her with them to the Ukok Plateau, where they grazed their livestock. The entire tribe migrated there until spring. It seems that during this journey, she fell from a height. In the tomb, experts also found traces of cannabis, which may have been used to alleviate the pain from cancer and injuries. For over 20 years, the mummy has been housed at the Novosibirsk Archaeology and Ethnography Museum. In September 2012, the mummy was transferred to the Gorno-Altaysk National Museum. Treasures in the ancient Greek tomb. Archaeologists Jack Davis and Sharon Stocker recently announced the discovery of 2 ancient tombs in the coastal town of Pylos, Greece. The tombs are located near the palace of King Nestor, the legendary king described in the two famous epics, the Iliad and the Odyssey by Homer. The tombs are built in the shape of domed structures known as tholos, which were typically used for royal burials. One tomb has a diameter of approximately 12 meters, while the other is about 8.5 meters across. Thousands of large stones, about the size of watermelons, were densely stacked to protect the tombs from thieves and vandals over millennia, preserving them almost intact as they were originally built. Inside the tombs, Davis and Stocker discovered amber pieces from the Baltic Sea and amethyst from Egypt, along with many gold pieces that were once used to line the walls and floor of the tombs. Particularly, the archaeologists found a gold ring engraved with images of two bulls and designs resembling barley stalks. These are typical artistic symbols of the Minoan civilization on the island of Crete, Greece. Additionally, there was a gold pendant engraved with the image of the ancient Egyptian goddess Hathor, the goddess of love, beauty, and joy. The tombs also contained several works of art depicting mythical creatures. One seal, made of agate, was engraved with two lion-headed creatures with sharp claws. Two other artifacts made of bronze and gold were engraved with a 16-pointed star. The tombs also contained a beautifully carved ivory plaque, along with armor and weapons. According to Sharon Stocker, the Mycenaeans built these tombs before the classical period of ancient Greece, ruling over much of the eastern Mediterranean from 1600 to 1100 BC. Thus, the owner of these tombs lived during the early years of Greek civilization, when luxury goods were still rare, and was likely a person of great status. The 4,000-year-old Apocalypse Prevention Machine. A gigantic, bizarre-shaped structure was recently discovered in rural Iraq and identified as an apocalypse prevention machine that features astonishing modern elements. The device, called the Apocalypse Prevention Machine by archaeologists, is a one-of-a-kind life-saving tool that helped ancient people survive deadly droughts. The machine was found during excavations at the ancient city of Girsu, which had been inhabited by the Sumerian civilization since the 3rd millennium BC. Known for their advanced civilization, the Sumerians invented numerous astonishing devices for everyday life, including this peculiar machine. The so-called Apocalypse Prevention Machine is, in fact, a vast project similar to modern water piping systems designed to bring water from distant areas for agricultural use during times of drought. It helped divert water from the Tigris and Euphrates rivers into canals, wells, and reservoirs located in the centers of residential areas. What most amazed archaeologists is that this machine is 4,000 years old. The structure may have been built when the population of the ancient city expanded, coinciding with the growing water crisis caused by increasingly severe weather. With advanced scientific and technological knowledge compared to other contemporary civilizations around the world, the people of Girsu were able to save themselves. Ming Dynasty grenades at the foot of the Great Wall. A team of archaeologists recently discovered 59 stone grenades in the ruins of a warehouse inside the Great Wall of China in Badaling, a section built during the Ming Dynasty, about 80 kilometers northwest of Beijing. The stone grenades are estimated to be 400 years old and are inscribed with orders instructing soldiers to be on guard for enemies at this section of the Great Wall near Beijing. This discovery reveals the astonishing variety of early gunpowder-based weapons used during the Ming Dynasty, which ruled from 1368 to 1644. Scholars believe that gunpowder was invented in China around the 9th century. By the time the Ming Dynasty began, many types of gunpowder-based weapons were already in use across East Asia, including explosives with nicknames such as flying rats, fire bricks, and fireball spiked balls. These several hundred-year-old stone grenades, with a drilled hole in the center for filling with gunpowder, are similar to previously found stone grenades, indicating that they were common weapons used by guards along the Great Wall during the Ming Dynasty. After being filled with gunpowder, the grenades could be sealed and thrown, not only hitting enemies, but also causing explosions. According to Shang Heng, a researcher at the Beijing Archaeological Institute, this is the first time a weapon storage site has been found at the Great Wall. He also added that such weapons were easy to make and convenient for soldiers stationed at the Great Wall to throw at invading enemies. Early grenades often caught fire, but their gunpowder formula was designed to maximize explosive power. 10-million-year-old armored sea monster. In the Tatacoa Desert of Colombia, known as the graveyard of prehistoric sea monsters, scientists have recently unearthed the largest turtle in the world with 2 sharp horns on its shell. The turtle belongs to the largest known individual of the species, Stupendemys geographicus. Research has shown that this turtle species could grow up to 4 meters in length and weigh as much as 1.25 tons. The recently discovered fossil is in excellent condition and is considered a highly valuable specimen, believed to be larger than any previously found in Brazil, Venezuela, or Colombia. According to paleontologist Edwin Cadena from the University of Rosario, the remarkable feature of the enormous turtle's shell is the 2 sharp horns protruding from the sides near its neck. Deep scars on the armored shell indicate that these prehistoric turtles were fierce sea monsters. With their horns, they likely engaged in intense battles when males competed for mates. The oldest Stupendemys geographicus ever found could be up to 70 million years old, meaning it coexisted with dinosaurs. However, after the asteroid disaster 66 million years ago that wiped out the dinosaurs, these turtles survived. The size and terrifying horns of these ancient turtles helped them stay safe from other fearsome creatures of their time. This discovery provides scientists with further insight into the history of giant prehistoric animals. The ship carrying tons of gold. In 2008, a significant discovery stirred public attention when it was found beneath the sand dunes of the Namibian coastline. A group of miners discovered the wreckage of a gold-carrying ship named Bom Jesus. The miners made this important find while they were sweeping the sand in search of diamond mines. They never imagined that their discovery of wooden and metal fragments would lead to such a massive treasure. According to experts, Bom Jesus was a Portuguese merchant ship. The ship set sail from India in 1533 and mysteriously disappeared thereafter. No one knew the fate of this ship until its discovery in 2016. Experts speculate that the Bom Jesus collided with a reef along the Namibian coastline, causing the ship to capsize. A fragment of the ship's hull likely shielded the treasure chest as it sank to the seafloor. Over time, geological changes turned the area where the ship sank into a desert. Along with hundreds of shipwreck fragments, experts found a chest containing over 2,000 gold coins. Based on the exchange rate at the time, the gold was worth around 12.5 million USD. In addition to the enormous amount of gold, experts also discovered over 5,000 artifacts such as bronze bowls, pewter tableware, muskets, compasses, swords, ivory, anchors, and more. With these findings, experts are conducting research to uncover the lives of the sailors aboard the ship nearly 500 years ago. Many hope that the mysteries surrounding the ship and the lives of the people will soon be revealed. The 3,000-year-old Shaman's Tomb. This ancient tomb was discovered near the city of Cajamarca in Peru, containing a skeleton buried with many strange yet prestigious grave goods. The tomb was found in the Pacoampa Archaeological Complex, which holds many ancient tombs that a large team of scientists from Peru and Japan began excavating in 2005. The newly discovered tomb is believed to belong to a shaman or a high-ranking religious figure in the area during ancient times. Notably, alongside the shaman, who is thought to have lived 3,000 years ago, were 3 ceramic seals, possibly used to imprint designs on the body. The most striking seal depicted a jaguar, an animal that some ancient Central American communities kept as pets and regarded as a symbol of power and prestige. The tomb also contained various decorative pottery, which were highly valuable during that period, reflecting the esteemed status of the individual buried there. Given its age and scientific significance, these burial items are now considered a great treasure. The face of the shaman was also coated with red cinnabar, further indicating his high status. Archaeologist Yuji Seki from the National Museum of Ethnology in Japan, co-director of the Archaeological Agency in the region, explained that cinnabar was believed to originate from the Andean highlands, and it was believed that only the elite could obtain it or use it through long-distance trade. The burial items suggest that the individual may have had the ability to manipulate the power of jaguars, snakes, and birds. It is possible that he was a healer whom people consulted to solve problems. The seals in the tomb might have symbolized power. Archaeologists have yet to conduct radiocarbon dating on the artifacts recovered from the tomb. However, the figure of 3,000 years is based on the design of the artifacts, which matches other contemporaneous finds from the complex. 10,000-year-old phantom footprints. Archaeologists recently made a surprising discovery of phantom barefoot footprints imprinted in the sand near Hill Air Force Base in the Great Salt Lake Desert, Utah. These footprints date back at least 10,000 years, when the area was still a vast wetland. These unusual ancient tracks have captured the attention of scientists for one special reason. They only appear after rainfall and gradually disappear as the surface dries under the sun. Initially, the research team found only a few footprints. However, after scanning the surrounding area with ground-penetrating radar, the team uncovered at least 88 distinct footprints from both adults and children. It is known that the Great Salt Lake Desert was once covered by a large saline lake, similar to the largest lake of the same name in the Western Hemisphere. Over time, however, the lake dried up due to climate change at the end of the Ice Age. During this period, the lake was inhabited by humans, providing the perfect opportunity for them to leave footprints on the surface. Darren Duke, the lead archaeologist, explained that the ancient people seem to have walked extensively in this area, where the shallow waters and quicksand filled their tracks, similar to what we see on beaches today. However, the footprints did not completely vanish. They were preserved by a layer of mud underneath. Beneath the sand, a layer of mud stored the imprints, much like ink on paper. Explaining why these phantom footprints appear only after rain, Duke stated that when raindrops fall, water is quickly absorbed into the underlying sediment, causing the ground to return to its normal color. The footprints, imprinted in the dark mud, then become visible, standing out against the surrounding white sand. Using radiocarbon dating, researchers hope to analyze the small remnants of organic material left in the sediment to uncover unknown details about ancient humans. $1.8 million-year-old ancient human tooth. Recently, archaeologists in Georgia announced the discovery of an 1.8 million-year-old tooth in the village of Orozmani, located about 100 kilometers southwest of the country's capital, Tbilisi. Experts believe this tooth belonged to early humans and places this region among the earliest prehistoric human settlements in Europe. Discoveries at Dmanisi have been considered some of the most significant regarding ancient humans outside of Africa. This has provided scientists with deeper insights into, and even changed our understanding of, the early evolution of humans and migration patterns. Meanwhile, the latest discovery in Orozmani provides further evidence that the Southern Caucasus Mountains may have been one of the first regions where ancient humans settled after leaving Africa. Georgi Bidzinashvili, the lead archaeologist, believes the tooth belonged to a relative of Zezva and Mzia, two nearly complete 1.8 million-year-old skull fossils discovered in Dmanisi. Additionally, Jack Pert, a member of the archaeological team, emphasized that this discovery supports the view that Georgia is a critical site for paleoanthropological studies. The oldest human fossil discovered to date is a jawbone fragment found in present-day Ethiopia, dating back 2.8 million years. As a result, scientists believe early humans migrated out of Africa around 2.8 million years ago. Ancient tools dating back about 2.1 million years have been found in what is now China, but Georgia remains home to some of the oldest traces of human activity as our ancestors left the African continent. The 3,700-year-old remains of a powerful woman. Dr. Brenna Hassett, a biological anthropologist, describes her work as mostly fascinating and interesting, though somewhat eerie. Her job essentially involves excavating the remains of the deceased. She studies their past lives to understand their existence while alive, as well as the causes of their death. This year, Hassett was especially excited about a paper published in Antiquity magazine regarding a 3,700-year-old tomb discovered in Spain. The tomb contained the remains of a male and female, along with several personal belongings. Notably, archaeologists found the remains of the woman adorned with valuable items, such as bracelets, necklaces, and a silver crown. Hassett explains that this discovery offers a broader view of an individual's role in society through the items buried with them. The presence of such valuable items indicates that the woman held a high social status, possibly even political power. For a long time, we have believed that society was run by men, but these valuable items prove the opposite, that a form of power existed among women, not just men as we have traditionally thought. The oldest lizard fossil. At the Bridger Formation in Wyoming, archaeologists uncovered the fossil of the world's first known lizard, dating back 48 million years, called the Jesus lizard for its ability to walk on water. This discovery provides clues about how modern lizards evolved and offers insights into how climate change affected tropical species. These lizards once inhabited a vast area stretching from central Mexico to northern Colombia. They thrived in high temperatures near the equator. In Wyoming, these lizards had long legs that allowed them to glide quickly across the water's surface. They were primarily diurnal and tree-dwelling, like their modern relatives. Fossils show that their skulls had a bony crest to provide shade for their eyes, giving them an angry appearance. Researchers also found that their small teeth were well suited for eating snakes, other lizards, fish, insects, and plants. However, with large cheekbones, it appears that these lizards favored larger prey. Notably, the webbing between their toes helped reduce their body weight, creating a large surface area with air pockets that allowed them to easily walk on water. 900-year-old mummy, smiling with mouth open. Scientists at Henan University in China recently made a surprising announcement. A team of archaeologists discovered a mysterious burial site containing hundreds of skeletons. The most intriguing find was a decapitated skeleton over 3,000 years old, buried in a strange position. Archaeologists believe this skeleton was the victim of a sacrificial ritual during the Ming Dynasty. Earlier, 339 other skeletons were found, showing signs of kneeling with their hands bound, discovered at a massive sacrificial pit. Around 13,000 people were reportedly killed in sacrificial rites at the ancient capital of Anyang during the Shang Dynasty, a period spanning over 200 years. Halfway across the world in Peru, archaeologists were stunned to discover a dry, blackened, stiff body, bound by cloth to the point of suffocation, lying curled up with its mouth open in a grin. A local garbage collector, Miramontes, 54 years old, was so frightened that he reported it to the police, suspecting foul play. He recalled, "I thought it was just some box someone had thrown away. But when I opened it, I nearly froze in shock seeing the horrifying skull inside." Initial investigations indicated that this was a 1,100-year-old mummy. The body had been tightly wrapped in rope and placed inside a box. This mummy was discovered by archaeologists in the city of Trujillo at the Chan Chan Archaeological Site, the capital of the Chimu Empire. Many speculate that someone may have stolen the body and removed it from the excavation site, but this remains a theory. The truth behind the incident is still unknown, and scientists and archaeologists need more time to provide an accurate explanation. Alien mummy. When it comes to aliens, the mystery of the pyramids in Egypt deepens even further, with unexpected discoveries made by archaeologists. Researcher Louis Caparat uncovered a secret room containing several strange objects, including a papyrus with hieroglyphic symbols carrying messages from the stars, dating back to the reign of Pharaoh Cheops. This script is believed to be a message from an extraterrestrial being to Pharaoh Cheops. But that wasn't the strangest object Caparat found in the secret room. He also discovered a small, transparent crystal coffin containing the body of a small alien. Shocked by the sight, he thought of biologist Braga. Upon receiving the news, Braga flew immediately to Cairo with plans to collect blood, tissue, and DNA samples from the body, which Caparat was convinced belonged to an alien. Unfortunately, Braga never made it to the Great Pyramid of Giza. When he arrived in Egypt, the authorities forced him to return home. Shortly afterward, for unknown reasons, both the alien mummy and the transparent coffin were confiscated by Egyptian intelligence and transferred to a sealed location. Since 1988, the Egyptian government has never publicly commented on the matter, leaving the world wondering whether extraterrestrials truly exist or why no one has discovered evidence of their arrival on Earth. To this day, the Egyptian government continues to hide the secret that the Great Pyramid of Giza still holds many unexplored mysteries. Hassanlu Lover's Mummy. In 1972, a team of archaeologists from the University of Pennsylvania uncovered several mummified remains at the Tepe Hassanlu site in Iran. Among the discovered remains, two mummies embracing each other caught the most attention. These two mummies were later named the Hassanlu Lovers. The posture, where they remained intertwined even in death, was romanticized and came to symbolize eternal love. According to research, this area is believed to have been burned down in an attack between two warring factions, with people from both sides dying in the conflict. The Hassanlu lovers were found inside a plaster coffin, which might have been a hiding place for combatants. They likely crawled into it for shelter, but couldn't escape the smoke that suffocated them. After their discovery in this unusual position, the Hassanlu lovers were quickly portrayed in the media and by the public as a couple who died together and continued to embrace and love each other even after becoming ancient mummies. However, the truth turned out to be different, and many were shocked by the results of scientific research. There is no certainty that these mummies were a male and female couple. In fact, it is very likely that the Hassanlu lovers were two men. This suggests that same-sex love might have existed nearly 3,000 years ago. Through analysis of the pelvic bones and teeth, the remains of the person on the right have been confirmed as a young male, aged about 18 to 22. The identity of the person on the left is still uncertain, but it is also likely to be male, and this person died between the ages of 30 and 35. The exact relationship between these two remains unclear. Their embrace before death is not enough to definitively declare them a romantic couple. Despite ongoing debates, the position of the two skeletons continues to fascinate future generations. Intact mummy on a yacht. On Friday, February 26, 2016, under a clear sky and calm sea, everything seemed perfect for a fishing trip. Christopher Rivas, 23, a resident of Barobo, a small town on the eastern coast of Mindanao Island, Philippines, was out fishing with a few friends. About 64 kilometers off the coast, the group was surprised by the appearance of an old dilapidated white yacht named Sayo. Like a ghost ship, the vessel was badly damaged, with the mast broken and parts of the boat submerged in the water. Rivas and his group bravely boarded the yacht. What they discovered was far more eerie than they had imagined. The mummy of a man, lying naked on a chair. They immediately contacted the police. After an investigation and through documents found in the cabin, the police identified the mummy as Manfred Fritz Bayerat, a German sailor. The autopsy revealed that the 59-year-old man died from a heart attack. He had drifted at sea for weeks, and the salty air and warmth of the seawater acted as a preservative, slowing the decomposition of his body. To explain why Bajorat's body remained intact with minimal signs of decomposition, forensic pathologist Professor Peter Venezes stated, "The air, heat, and salinity of the sea are very conducive to mummification. These natural factors can preserve a body for 2 to 3 weeks, after which the fingers and other parts dry out rapidly, leading to gradual decomposition over a couple of months." The mysterious case quickly spread across the internet, with many wondering how Bajorat, a German, had ended up drifting alone across the Philippine Sea. Based on materials found on the yacht, the police were able to answer that question. In a note, Bajorat wrote, 30 years we shared the same path. But then you left me. May your soul find peace. Manfred. The yacht also contained photo albums, treasured by the 59-year-old man, depicting a happy family life. The photos ranged from snapshots at Notre Dame Cathedral and cafes in Paris to family picnics. One photo showed Bajorat holding a baby with the caption, "The first time we sailed with little Button." From these photos, it became clear that Bajorat had once had a happy family. His wife had died of cancer in 2010, and his daughter Nina was a captain on a cargo ship at the time. According to Nina, 2 years after her mother's death, Bajorat sailed alone, exploring the seas for several years. The loss of his wife and the disintegration of his family likely became a sorrow he could not overcome, and he chose the ocean as his eternal home. 8,000-year-old mummy in a strange position. For a long time, it was believed that the oldest mummies in the world were from Egypt, but this recent discovery has completely shattered that idea. In mid-March, Live Science published an article detailing the results of an image analysis never done before, revealing that the oldest human mummies did not come from Egypt or even Chile, but from Europe. Around 60 years ago, an archaeologist took photographs of several skeletons buried in 8,000-year-old graves in southern Portugal. Researchers stated that over a dozen ancient bodies were found in the Sado Valley of southern Portugal during excavations in the 1960s. At least one of these bodies had been mummified, possibly to facilitate easier transportation before burial. Additionally, there are signs that other bodies buried in the same location may have also been mummified, suggesting that mummification practices were common in this area 8,000 years ago. The complex mummification process was used in ancient Egypt over 4,500 years ago, and evidence of mummification has been found in other parts of Europe dating back to around 1000 BC. However, the recently identified mummies from Portugal are the oldest ever found, predating the previously record-holding mummies from the coastal region of the Atacama Desert in Chile by about 1,000 years. Rita Peroteo-Stierna, a bioarchaeologist at Uppsala University, explained that while mummification is relatively simple in extremely dry conditions like the Atacama Desert, it is difficult to find evidence of it in Europe, where the climate is much wetter, making it rare for soft tissues of mummies to be well preserved. Evidence of European mummification was discovered in a set of photographs left by the Portuguese archaeologist Farinha dos Santos when he passed away in 2001. Santos had studied human remains excavated from the Sado Valley in the early 1960s. In a recent study of these photographs taken by Santos over 60 years ago, scientists discovered black and white images of 13 graves from the Paleolithic or Mesolithic periods. They used these photos to reconstruct burial sites at 2 locations. Upon examination, they found that one of the skeletons was highly flexible, meaning the arms and legs had been moved beyond their natural limits, indicating that the body was tightly bound after death. The photographs of one of the skeletons excavated from a site in the Sado Valley show signs that it had been mummified before being buried about 8,000 years ago. Moreover, bone fragments from the skeleton were still connected after burial, even though most small foot bones usually disarticulate during decomposition. Strangely, there was no evidence that the earth around the grave had been disturbed by the decomposition of the body's soft tissues, implying that no decomposition had occurred. 4,000-year-old princess mummy. In 2003, the discovery of a 4,000-year-old mummy of a princess from the Xinjiang region caused a major stir in the archaeological community when it was excavated from the Xiaohe site in Lop Nor, Xinjiang, China. Despite being thousands of years old, this mummy retained a picture-perfect appearance. In fact, the cemetery where the Princess of Xiaohe was buried was first excavated in the 1920s. However, due to the limited archaeological technology at the time, work in this area had to be halted. It wasn't until about 60 years later that archaeological work in the region resumed. When the tomb of the stunningly beautiful Xinjiang princess was discovered, everyone was astonished at her appearance. After 4,000 years, her body showed no signs of decomposition. The skin on her body still retained its elasticity, and her sharp features, such as her very high nose, delicate lips, and perfectly shaped oval face, were still intact. What most surprised archaeologists even more was the princess's genetic makeup. After conducting DNA tests, it was revealed that the princess was of mixed Asian and European descent. Analysis showed that she also had European ancestry. Upon examining the entire cemetery, archaeologists identified about 330 tombs, but more than 160 had been destroyed over time. Mummies in the Guanajuato Museum, Mexico. A strange and haunting museum can be found in Guanajuato, Mexico. Behind fragile glass cases are mummies, believed to be the victims of murders, those buried alive, and even infants. These mummies are covered with a yellowish skin layer that envelopes their skeletal frames. Most of the thinner skin areas, such as eyelids, genitalia, cheeks, and earlobes, have disappeared, leaving holes and cavities. The human remains are preserved due to the burial practices at the Paula Saints Cemetery. Here, the bodies were not buried in the ground, but placed in sealed tombs, lacking oxygen, which slowed down the natural decomposition process. Jesus Saltillo, one of the museum's tour guides, said, "The bodies did not decompose, but instead dried out, almost as if they were mummified. Some bodies are well preserved, with intact eyebrows, beards, and fingernails. Almost all of the mummies have their mouths agape, as though they experienced immense pain. However, this appearance is a result of rigor mortis and jaw muscle relaxation after death, rather than a sign of suffering." Another glass case in the museum contains 3 mummies in distressing poses: a man stabbed to death with a wound to the abdomen, a person who drowned with legs bent like a frog, and a woman who was buried alive by her family while pregnant, her face frozen in a scream. According to guide Jesus Saltillo, the Paula Saint Cemetery, located next to the museum, has been a source of mummies for many years. When a family's land lease expired, they had 5 days to pay £95 for 20 years of burial. If they didn't pay, the bodies of their relatives were removed and sent to the museum curator for inspection. If the curator deemed the mummy to be of interest to tourists, it would be added to the exhibition. If not, the remains would be taken to a mass grave on the outskirts of town. The museum is also famous for having the smallest mummies in the world, including a 4-month-old fetus of a woman who died from cholera in the 1860s. The fetus was found still intact inside its mother's womb. The most recent mummy is baby Enrico, a 6-month-old infant who passed away in 1999. After the 5-year lease on the tomb expired, the museum displayed the child's body, which had been dressed by the parents in the likeness of Saint Bartholomew during burial. In the infant room exhibit, there is also a mummy named Little Saint Martin, a baby who died during birth and was never given a name. The parents had dressed the baby in Saint Martin attire, complete with a broom, rosary, and priest's robe, hoping that their child would cross over to the afterlife peacefully. Additionally, the museum displays many mummies with yellowed skin, shrunken eyeballs, and mouths agape, resembling Hollywood-style zombies. 2,500-year-old mummies with gold-coated tongues. Recently, during the excavation of an ancient tomb on the outskirts of Cairo, researchers discovered the mummies of a man and a woman, both buried with gold leaves placed on their tongues. The two mummies were found in separate tombs, placed in limestone coffins dating back 2,500 years. The man's mummy was intact within a sealed tomb. The excavation team found various artifacts, including canopic jars, beetle-shaped amulets, and burial figurines made of fired clay. However, the woman's mummy was in poor condition, and her tomb showed signs of having been looted. Experts from the University of Barcelona have identified the tomb as being from the site period of the 26th dynasty. Gold leaves are commonly found in ancient Egyptian mummies. They were placed on the tongue of the deceased during funerary rites to ensure that their soul could communicate with the god Osiris in the afterlife. Osiris, the god of the underworld, judged the souls of the deceased. The ancient Egyptians believed the gold tongue would help the deceased persuade Osiris to judge them favorably. Currently, the archaeologists are unsure of the identities of the man and woman in the tomb, but their burial sites are next to each other. The man's skull remains intact, and the gold tongue is clearly visible from his mouth. In addition, the team discovered 402 small clay figurines, tin-glazed pottery, and various amulets and green beads next to the man's remains, further supporting their findings. Besides these two mummies, archaeologists working at the Taposiris Magna site in Egypt have also uncovered 16 rock-cut tombs, with another mummy featuring a gold-coated tongue. The researchers speculate that the embalmers removed the tongue of the deceased and placed the gold leaf in the mouth during the burial ritual. The mummy of Princess Meritt Amun. In 1881, archaeologists discovered the royal tombs of Deir el-Bahari in Luxor, Egypt. At this archaeological site, much attention was given to a tomb about 3,000 years old. When the tomb was opened, the research team was startled to find the mummy of a woman with a mysterious appearance. The mummy was placed in a sarcophagus with her head slightly tilted backward, her mouth wide open as though she were screaming in horror. This led experts to wonder if the woman had experienced a painful death, which might explain the frightening expression on her face. To solve this mystery, experts conducted several tests and DNA analyses on the mummy. The research revealed that the mummy had been buried with great care, according to the rituals reserved for a princess. After further investigation, experts were able to identify her as Princess Meritt Amun. It was found that her brain had not been removed during the mummification process, which is an important feature distinguishing royal mummies from those of ordinary nobles. The experts also discovered that Princess Meritt Amun died suddenly from a heart attack. They believed that her death was not immediately recognized, and by the time it was discovered, her body had already stiffened. As a result, the embalmers were unable to make her appearance more peaceful for her journey to the afterlife. Therefore, the princess's mummy retained the painful expression she had at the time of her death, and today, experts refer to it as the Screaming Princess Mummy. The isolated native village in the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon in Arizona is one of the most popular tourist destinations in the United States. This area still holds many secrets. One of the most intriguing hidden areas is the Supai village in Havasu Canyon, a branch of the Grand Canyon. The Supai village has been home to the Havasupai tribe for over 800 years and is possibly the most isolated village in the U.S. Although the village is only 13 kilometers from the nearest road, cars cannot reach it due to the rugged mountain terrain. The only way to enter the Supai village is by helicopter or by riding mules along the Havasupai Trail, the only path connecting the village to other areas. Supai is one of the most remote places on Earth, and it is the only place in the U.S. where mules are still used for mail delivery. The name of the tribe, Havasupai, means people of the blue water, originating from the bright blue color of the Havasu River that flows through Havasu Canyon and the Supai village before it flows into the Colorado River. The Havasupai tribe is the smallest Native American community in the U.S., with a population of about 600 people. Before European settlers arrived, the Havasupai tribe lived in a vast area roughly the size of the state of Delaware. The tribe cultivated land in the open areas of the canyon, using the abundant water from the Havasu Creek to grow corn, squash, watermelon, and beans. In winter, the residents would harvest their crops and then move to the canyon's edge, where the men would hunt deer and antelope while the women wove baskets. However, this simple lifestyle was disrupted in the early 19th century when miners and ranchers appeared, seizing land and pushing the Havasupai people deeper into the canyon. Silver mining and the construction of the vast Santa Fe Railroad actually destroyed the tribe's fertile agricultural land. Moreover, the establishment of the Grand Canyon National Park in 1919 pushed the Havasupai tribe to the brink, further depriving them of their land. It wasn't until 1975, after nearly a century of legal battles, that the U.S. government restored the tribe's ancestral land. Today, the Havasupai people still grow crops and weave baskets, but their main source of income comes from tourism. Over 20,000 visitors come annually to explore the village and admire the breathtaking waterfalls in Havasu Canyon. In the village, there are various services for tourists, including cafes, grocery stores, inns, and a post office. The village also has schools, churches, and other important buildings. Notably, the stunning waterfalls in Havasu Canyon are a major tourist attraction, formed when the Havasu River flows through the canyon. The Muni, Navajo, Havasu, and Beaver Falls, with their crystal-clear waters and limestone bedrock, are about 10 kilometers from the Supai village, providing a natural advantage for the village to develop its tourism industry. If you're an explorer at heart, this place would be an ideal destination for you. Ancient Egyptian artifact found 3,000 years old. An archaeologist has uncovered an ancient Egyptian settlement in the Colorado Canyon region of the United States, dating back thousands of years, effectively overturning the modern historical view that Columbus was the first to discover the New World. In recent years, more evidence has emerged, suggesting that ancient civilizations, including Egypt, China, and even the Olmec in South America, successfully undertook ocean voyages, though these achievements were not recorded in history books. For many people, the idea that there was once an ancient Egyptian colony in North America seems like something out of a Hollywood film, not a real-life possibility. However, according to the front page of the Arizona Gazette on April 5, 1909, an archaeologist made a strange discovery in the marble area of the Grand Canyon, suggesting the presence of ancient Egyptians in North America thousands of years ago. The findings almost certainly confirm that the people who inhabited these mysterious caves, carved into the hard stone by human hands, originated from the east, perhaps from Egypt, dating back to the time of Pharaoh Ramses. Mr. Kincaid was the one who accidentally discovered the cave complex, or rather, the underground city, of the Grand Canyon while traveling by boat down the Colorado River from Green River, Wyoming to Yuma. According to him, the cave was nearly inaccessible, with its entrance located beneath a steep cliff more than 450 meters high. Inside the cave, there was a large passageway, 3.6 meters wide, which narrowed as it went deeper. reaching only about 2.7 meters at the back. After proceeding about 17 meters, two new passages branched off to the left and right. On both sides, there were several rooms, some as large as a modern living room, while others were smaller, ranging from 9 to 12 meters, with oval-shaped doorways. A total of several hundred such rooms were catalogued. Inside, many artifacts were found, including weapons, brass musical instruments with sharp steel-like edges, indicating a high level of civilization among the inhabitants. About 30 meters from the entrance was a cross corridor, around 60 to 90 meters long, which contained statues and carvings of gods representing the belief system of the people there. The figures were seated cross-legged in a lotus position, holding a lotus flower or lily in each hand. The facial features of the statues resembled those of Eastern people, as did the carvings. The statues closely resembled the figure of Buddha, although scientists were uncertain of the exact belief system. However, considering all the factors, it is likely that this belief system was similar to that of ancient Tibet. Alongside these statues were smaller figurines, some beautifully shaped, while others had twisted, grotesque forms that may represent good and evil. Behind the pedestal where the god sat, there were two large cacti, their stems extending outward on either side. Everything was carved from hard stone resembling marble. At the opposite corner of this cross corridor were various work tools made of copper. These people clearly knew how to harden materials, a skill that has been attempted to be replicated with various chemicals over the centuries, but has never produced the same results. Other findings included artistic and finely crafted gold and copper vessels, as well as enamelware and polished porcelain containers. Another passage led to a grain storage area, typical of Eastern temples, containing various seeds. One of the largest rooms was the tomb, where mummified bodies were found, with walls slanting back at about a 35-degree angle. Along these walls were rows of mummies, each in its own compartment. At the head of each mummy was a small stool, with copper cups and broken sword pieces. Some mummies were wrapped in clay, while all were covered in bark. Radiocarbon dating showed that the oldest mummy dated back to around 1600 BCE, which aligns with the time when the Egyptians may have reached the Grand Canyon region. The cave complex could have comfortably housed about 50,000 people. One theory suggests that today's native tribes in Arizona may be descendants of the peasants or slaves of the people who once lived in these caves. 313 million-year-old fossilized footprints. Finding fossilized footprints in the Grand Canyon is not unusual, but Professor Krill's discovery turned out to be even more significant than he had realized. What he accidentally uncovered were the fossilized tracks of the oldest vertebrates ever found in the Grand Canyon National Park, dating back about 313 million years. They represent one of the earliest traces of shelled egg-laying animals, such as reptiles, and the first evidence of vertebrates walking across sand dunes. The rock containing the footprints was revealed after a rock face collapsed. Although the rock was located along a trail, it had apparently been overlooked until Krill discovered it. Researchers have indicated that the footprints belong to two separate animals walking on the slope of a sand dune. The shape of the footprints reveals a special walking pattern that scientists hadn't previously known about early animals. This walking pattern is called a lateral gait, where the front and back legs on the same side of the animal move together, while the opposite side moves similarly. However, modern four-legged animals, such as dogs and cats, usually only use this gait when moving slowly. Rowland stated that the footprints at the Bright Angel Trail in the Grand Canyon record the use of this gait very early in the history of vertebrates. Previously, no information had been available about this. And to this day, the rock containing these giant footprints remains a mystery yet to be fully excavated. Underground Hotel. While the end of the world or World War III has yet to occur, many Americans have planned for such events by creating underground shelters for decades. This includes former President John F. Kennedy, who during his presidency was inspired by the Cuban Missile Crisis to build a safe house for himself and a few thousand other citizens in the event of an attack. And where better to build it than at the bottom of the Grand Canyon? John F. Kennedy believed that the depths of this national monument would be immune to any form of attack, so he found a small niche 220 feet beneath the surface to build his 200 feet by 400 feet by 70 feet room. surrounded by 65-million-year-old walls. To prepare for a large-scale bombing, Kennedy ensured that the cave was stocked with enough food to sustain 2,000 people for a month. Thanks to the extremely dry underground climate with zero humidity, these supplies could still be used today. Due to these conditions, no other form of life, including rodents and pests, could survive at this depth to spoil the provisions. In terms of amenities, the living area was equipped with a television, tape recorder, beds, and a library to ensure comfort for those trapped 22 stories below the surface. Additionally, this special facility even had running water, although only a few hundred gallons were manually brought into the cave. The Grand Canyon Cavern Shelter is undoubtedly an intriguing and mysterious wonder, and it is currently being gradually explored and excavated by scientists with hopes of uncovering even more fascinating discoveries. The broken supercontinent, trace lost for 1 billion years. The mystery of the nearly 150 billion-year-old Grand Canyon, a strange land where rocks of vastly different ages are found side by side, has just been solved. These are remnants from the breakup of the supercontinent Rodinia. In 1869, geologist John Wesley Powell, on his way down the Colorado River in the United States, discovered rocks dating back 1.4 to 1.8 billion years, lying next to rocks only 520 million years old at a famous natural landmark known as the Grand Canyon. There was no intermediary rock type in between. This mysterious gap of up to 1 billion years in the region's geological record left a century-long puzzle. A recent study published in Geology explains that with modern methods, a team of scientists from the University of Colorado in Boulder have solved the mystery. Parts of the Grand Canyon were not continuous in the past. Some sections had been shifted in various ways over millennia, causing certain rocks and sediments to be swept away into the ocean. This phenomenon could only have occurred through extremely harsh tectonic activity with a series of small but important fault events. Notably, this missing time correlates with a period when other evidence suggests the supercontinent Rodinia began to break apart, around 633 to 750 million years ago. Thus, the Grand Canyon is living proof of a chaotic tectonic period, which scientists believe was Rodinia. The wreckage of the 1956 plane crash. On this day, a United Airlines Douglas DC-7 and a Transworld Airlines Lockheed L-1049 super constellation collided in the skies above the Grand Canyon National Park in Arizona, resulting in the deaths of 128 people. This tragic accident caused a massive loss of life and marked a turning point in improving aviation safety in the United States. The collision occurred around 10 a.m. when the United Airlines DC-7, en route from Los Angeles to Chicago, and the TWA Super Constellation, flying from Kansas City to Los Angeles, met in the airspace over the Grand Canyon. Due to limited visibility and the lack of radar air traffic control systems, the two aircraft were unable to detect each other and collided at an altitude of about 6,000 feet above the Grand Canyon. The wreckage of both planes fell into the rugged mountainous area, making rescue and recovery efforts extremely difficult. However, after years of searching, the discovery of wreckage from the crash site attracted the attention of the public. Remains and debris from both aircraft were found in remote areas of the Grand Canyon National Park. The effort to search for and identify these pieces became part of a prolonged investigation into the cause of the accident. Some of the wreckage from both planes has been preserved and displayed in aviation museums as a testament to this tragic event. 500-million-year-old Trilobite fossils. The Grand Canyon is not only a natural wonder with breathtaking landscapes, but also a priceless fossil treasure trove, preserving traces of life from millions of years ago. With rock formations dating back nearly 2 billion years, the Grand Canyon provides profound insights into Earth's geological history while holding numerous important fossils that help us better understand the evolution of life across different periods. Among the notable fossils discovered here, trilobites are one of the most significant. These extinct marine arthropods lived over 500 million years ago during the Cambrian period. The trilobite fossils found in the Grand Canyon offer a valuable glimpse into the creatures that inhabited the ancient oceans. With their scorpion-like appearance, trilobites were among the first animals to develop an exoskeleton for protection. marking a pivotal point in animal evolution. In addition to trilobites, the Grand Canyon has also been home to many fossils of ancient mollusks, such as those from spiral-shelled species. These animals are closely related to modern squid and octopuses with their characteristic spiral shells. The fossilized spiral shells are evidence of the rich biodiversity of ancient oceans, where these creatures thrived for millions of years. Coconino Sandstone. One of the most remarkable and impressive geological features of the Grand Canyon is the Coconino Sandstone, a unique layer of rock that plays a significant role in the structure of this great canyon. With its distinctive color, ranging from bright white to light gray, the Coconino not only attracts the eye but is also an essential part of the magnificent landscape of the Grand Canyon. The pristine, smooth cliffs and the unique structure of this rock layer are easily recognizable when viewing the towering rock walls along the canyon. The Coconino Sandstone was formed over 275 million years ago during the Permian period, when the area was once covered by vast sand dunes. These dunes were buried under layers of sediment, and over millions of years they solidified into hard sandstone. This process resulted in the unique structure of Coconino Sandstone, with superfine sand layers and ancient wind traces still visible on the surface, creating a breathtaking image, much like ancient paintings. The formation and existence of the Coconino Sandstone serve as a vivid testament to the powerful geological forces that have shaped the Grand Canyon over millions of years. This structure not only impresses geologists, but also attracts visitors from all over the world, eager to learn about the Earth's formation and witness the mystical beauty of nature. The mysterious fog sea. A recent temperature inversion phenomenon has created a fascinating sight at the Grand Canyon, with a dense sea of fog covering the area. This fog began to appear on November 29th and has enveloped the canyon's crevices, especially visible from above. According to representatives from the Grand Canyon National Park, this phenomenon results from a special weather event called temperature inversion, which typically occurs once every few years, especially in winter. Temperature inversion happens when warm air at higher altitudes forms a giant lid that traps the cold air beneath it, especially in the canyon's deep gaps. This causes air pollution and fog to remain close to the ground and not rise. Normally, temperatures decrease with altitude, but in this case, the air above is warmer. This phenomenon usually occurs only in smaller canyon crevices, but this time the fog sea has covered the entire area, creating a rare and unique sight described as a once-in-a-decade occurrence. The temperature inversion lasted for 2 consecutive days during clear, cloudless skies, providing ideal conditions for the thick fog to form. This event not only captured the attention of researchers, but also attracted many hikers to the Grand Canyon, who found it incredibly fascinating to witness this unusual phenomenon. The Boxton Bog Mummy. In 1936, scientists discovered the preserved remains of a young man, aged between 25 and 35, in the Boxton Bog in Varberg, Sweden. The mummy, named Boxton, was remarkably well preserved. Tests revealed that the young man was between 5 feet 7 inches and 5 feet 10 inches tall, with an 8 centimeter by 5 centimeter wound on the right side of his skull, along with 2 large stakes piercing his heart. He was dressed in a woolen medieval tunic with a cloak on top, and his legs were covered by a cloth. Nearby, archaeologists found a fabric bag, a belt, and 2 knives. Upon further investigation, scientists uncovered an intriguing legend. According to the legend, the young man was haunted by the ghost of a deceased soldier. The villagers believed that by tying him up and driving 2 stakes through his heart, they could rid the village of the soldier's vengeful spirit forever. The Eay Girl Mummy. The Eay Girl Mummy, one of the most shocking archaeological discoveries, was found in 1897 in a bog near Eay, Netherlands. It is one of the most famous mummies from ancient times, and researchers determined that she was a young girl, about 16 years old, who lived between 54 BC and 128 AD. When discovered, the mummy was wrapped in a woolen cloak and a neck scarf, indicating she had been well cared for before her death. A notable feature of this discovery was a small wound on her clavicle, but archaeologists confirmed that this was not the direct cause of her death. Instead, through carbon-14 analysis, scientists found that the girl likely suffered from scoliosis, a condition suggesting she endured significant health challenges throughout her short life. Another intriguing theory that captured the attention of researchers is that the girl may have been the victim of an execution as part of ancient sacrificial rituals. These rituals were common in many ancient civilizations, where young people, especially women, were sometimes sacrificed to appease the gods. With this discovery, the Eay Girl Mummy provides valuable insights into the health and lives of ancient people, as well as offering a glimpse into the religious customs and beliefs of a distant past, where sacrifices may have been an essential part of society. The Alkan warriors. In 2012, Danish archaeologists made a significant archaeological discovery while excavating a bog in the Alkan marshlands, East Jutland. They uncovered the remains of hundreds of warriors who had died in battles over 2,000 years ago, found in a very unique condition. The bones of these warriors were not intact, with many skulls cracked and broken, indicating they had gone through brutal battles and likely suffered severe injuries during the fight. Along with the remains, archaeologists also discovered many ancient weapons, including axes, spears, and battle staffs. These were common tools used in ancient warfare, which helped shed light on the lives and fighting styles of these warriors. However, the cause of their sacrifice remains a major question. These warriors may have perished in a war, but it is also possible that they were sacrificed in ancient rituals, adding an extra layer of mystery to the discovery. To investigate further, researchers conducted additional excavations over a large area of up to 99 hectares surrounding the site. The aim was to piece together the events and discover more clues to explain the warriors' lives, deaths, and the battles they fought in. Archaeologists are also reconstructing the ancient landscape of the bog, hoping to gain a clearer picture of the environment in which the warriors lived and how they fought. The mysterious airplanes. In 1985, in a bog within the dense forests of New Guinea, a two-engine passenger plane that had disappeared nearly half a century earlier was discovered. What baffled people was that the plane appeared as if it had just landed, looking brand new with no signs of aging or distortion. This silver-glinting aircraft had gone missing 45 years earlier during a flight from Manila, Philippines to Mindanao Island. Inside the plane, researchers found newspapers from the third week of January 1937, Sunday edition. An Indonesian military aviation expert team was immediately dispatched to the scene. After inspecting the new-looking plane, they were astonished and stunned. The department responsible for the investigation ordered an immediate lockdown of the area where the plane was found. At first, the investigators could hardly believe their eyes. The plane's exterior looked pristine, with the body showing no signs of wear. In the sunlight, it gleamed like a mirror. The investigators expected the door to be rusty and hard to open, but to their surprise, the door opened smoothly with the turn of the handle, without a squeak or creak. Inside the cabin, there were no signs of passengers, living or dead. However, they found paper cups, cigarette butts, and newspapers from 1937, still not yellowing, as though someone had just been sitting in the plane. In an ashtray, there was a cigarette pack from the 1930s, a brand that was discontinued during World War II. The clothing and hairstyles depicted in the newspapers matched those from the Great Depression era in the United States. In a thermos, there was still hot coffee, which tasted fresh, with no sign of having spoiled. What surprised the investigators the most was the condition of the plane. The aircraft's battery was still fully charged, and turning on the switch made the plane's lights turn on. The fuel tank was nearly full. All these details made the investigators shiver with disbelief. The plane seemed to have made an emergency landing on soft ground in the marsh, which prevented it from being damaged, allowing it to be in a condition that could have allowed it to fly again, just as it did 50 years earlier. Scientists continued to investigate the mystery behind how this long-missing aircraft suddenly reappeared, hoping to eventually uncover the true secret behind this baffling phenomenon. The 5,000-year-old sacrificial remains. A team of archaeologists from the Roskilde Museum recently announced the discovery of human remains in what was once a bog near the town of Stenløse on Zealand Island, northwest of Copenhagen, Denmark. Initially, they found a thigh bone, a lower jaw, along with a few teeth, foot bones, and pelvis. Later, they uncovered the rest of a flint axe and animal bones, indicating that a sacrificial ritual took place about 5,000 years ago, during the Neolithic period. The scientists have not yet determined the gender or age of the deceased, but it is clear that the person did not accidentally fall into the bog. They died as part of a sacrificial process. Archaeologists have long documented the use of bogs as sites for human, animal, and other sacrificial offerings in ancient times. Emil Winter-Struve, an archaeologist at the Roskilde Museum, said, "When we found the bone fragments, we thought we were uncovering something really fascinating. It was a special experience. Finding bog remains is a rare occurrence." This is from the early Neolithic period in Denmark. We know that human sacrifice existed in ancient times. We have other examples of this practice. One of the most famous bog bodies, Talland Man, was also found in Denmark in the 1950s, dating to around 400 BC. In Denmark, it is required that an archaeological survey be conducted before new housing projects are started. For this reason, the bog near Stenløse was drained, revealing the bog body remains and other traces. However, with the arrival of the cold winter, scientists had to wait for the thaw before beginning the next excavation phase. Other parts of the remains were exposed to the elements, and without the protective peat of the bog, have not survived. The study of the teeth will help determine age, and the study of the pelvis will assist in determining gender. The teeth may also provide further information about the identity of the deceased, helping to unravel the reasons behind the sacrificial practice in that period. The 3,000-year-old bog village with a 1-meter monster in the body. The remains of a village built on a bog, miraculously preserved after a fire 3,000 years ago, are helping archaeologists from Cambridge University recreate a surprising picture of what has been called the Pompeii of England. Excavations revealed that the area, called Must Farm in eastern England, was once a large Bronze Age settlement on the bog, with wooden houses built on stilts and boats as the primary means of transportation. 3,000 years ago, a fire completely destroyed the ancient village, but it also inadvertently caused many artifacts and human remains to fall into the deep mud. Since mud is one of the most effective natural preservation environments, many of the artifacts were nearly intact when excavated. What was most surprising was the human remains. Most of the people from the village had parasites in their kidneys, including a species of worm that can grow to nearly 1 meter long. These monsters likely came from their daily diet, which included raw fish, frogs, and shellfish found in the bog. According to Professor Piers Mitchell from the University of Cambridge, the lead author of the study, "We found many types of deadly parasites that had been incredibly well preserved. These include fish tapeworms and echinostoma worms that cause anemia, as well as the giant kidney worm. These monsters, which can quickly kill their host. The dogs kept in the village were also victims of these parasites, indicating that both the people and their pets shared the same diet." The reason the bog village has been called the Pompeii of England is due to its remarkable construction and lifestyle organization, which was advanced for 3,000 years ago. Additionally, like Pompeii, an ancient Roman city destroyed in a volcanic eruption 2,000 years ago, the village was also wiped out by fire. During previous surveys, archaeologists found many types of finely crafted jewelry and tools, showing that the people of the village were advanced in craftsmanship. The Lindow Man Mummy. The Lindow Man Mummy is one of the most significant archaeological discoveries in Britain, found in 1984 at the Lindow Moss Peat Bog in Cheshire, England. This is the remains of a male, around 20 years old, who lived during the 1st century AD in the early period of the Roman Empire. The discovery was not only remarkable due to the excellent preservation of the body, but also because of the injuries found on the victim. Archaeologists discovered several clear signs of violence on the young man's body. He showed evidence of strangulation, a blow to the head that caused a piece of his skull to penetrate the brain, and a cut throat. These wounds suggest scientists believe that his death may have been related to religious rituals, where young individuals may have been sacrificed to pray for prosperity or appease the gods. These foods, which remained in his stomach, not only provide insights into the diet of people in this period, but also help pinpoint the time of death, which was in the spring or early summer of 100 to 200 AD. The Lindo man is an invaluable asset in understanding the customs, beliefs, and life of the ancient Celts. The excellent preservation of the body, along with the marks on it, has helped archaeologists and researchers gain a clearer understanding of the society, wars, and particularly the religious ritual. Issue a 3,000-year-old golden bowl. During an excavation in Ebreichsdorf, south of Vienna, Austria, scientists discovered a 3,000-year-old golden bowl. The bowl is decorated with a sun motif and rays, making it the first artifact of its kind to be found in Austria. The excavation in Ebreichsdorf began in September 2019, where scientists uncovered an ancient settlement that existed from 1300 to 1000 BC. They believe the site is associated with the cremation grave culture, a culture linked to cremation rituals. The bowl was found near the wall of an ancient house. It is made from very thin metal pieces, composed of about 90% gold, 5% silver, and 5% copper. Inside the bowl, there was a coil of gold and traces of organic material, likely once a piece of cloth sewn with golden thread. The research team believes this piece of cloth was a decorative scarf used in religious ceremonies to worship the sun. Dr. Michał Sip, an archaeologist at Novatus, stated, "The discovery of this 3,000-year-old hidden treasure is truly remarkable. We immediately began the conservation of the intricately decorated golden bowl, the coil of gold, and the remaining piece of cloth due to their importance to the European region." Rare treasure from 800 years ago. Not long ago, a historian and metal detectorist in the Netherlands discovered a highly valuable treasure containing sparkling gold and silver in a medieval bog that dates back 800 years. This treasure includes 4 gold pendants, 2 gold leaf strips, and 39 silver coins. Experts believe that these lavish jewelry items may have belonged to a wealthy and powerful figure from the medieval period. Lorenzo Ruter, the person who unearthed the treasure, mentioned that the silver coins found had various designs. Some were locally produced in the early 13th century, while others bore the marks of the Holy Roman Empire. The most recent coin dates from the late 1240s, coinciding with a period of war in the region. This might explain why the owner buried such valuable assets. During times of constant conflict and war, with no banks to protect wealth, the simplest solution was to bury it. Archaeologists at the National Museum of Antiquities in the Netherlands are still investigating the gold pieces to determine the time and location of their creation. 2,000-year-old intact shoes. A research team from the Monument Preservation Office in Lower Austria, along with the excavation company Denkmal 3D from Vechta, Germany, recently discovered an ancient leather shoe buried in a bog in Lower Saxony, Germany. The 2,000-year-old shoe resembles a closed-toe sandal with leather straps that connect the two sides. In addition, the archaeological team also found a wooden path from the Late Bronze Age, made from several planks of wood to allow people to cross the bog safely, as well as a broken wheel axle. Piecing together the finds, experts speculate that someone lost the shoe in the bog while replacing a broken axle on a cart as they crossed the wooden path. The wheel axle belongs to a wooden cart, possibly drawn by livestock, that broke in half, causing the cart to crash. When the accident happened, or when attempting to fix the cart, the shoe's owner may have fallen or stepped off the wooden path, causing the shoe to get stuck in the mud. The acidic conditions in the bog contributed to the preservation of the materials. Earlier in May, workers also unearthed a 1,000-year-old wooden path while installing a heating system in the city of Dortmund, Germany. The path, dating back to the medieval period, helped carts pass through the swampy area. It survived because it was buried under a layer of clay. Historically, using wood to construct roads through boggy regions was common, but since the structures were made of wood, they were easily damaged and difficult to preserve. The newly discovered leather shoe could be the oldest in northern Germany, but the oldest shoe in the world, dating back 5,500 years, was found in a cave in Armenia in relatively good condition, with the laces still intact. This 5,000-year-old shoe, made from cowhide and stitched with leather thread, was likely worn by a woman, and it was intentionally buried in the cave as part of a mysterious ritual. The 8-million-year-old forest. After several days of excavation in the Bukobrani region in northeastern Hungary, archaeologists revealed the mysterious forest of cypress trees growing in a swamp and announced the discovery in 2007. In the natural environment of the swamp, it is common for tree trunks to become buried and turn into coal over time. However, deep within the earth, archaeologists found 16 tree trunks that had been preserved in the exact location where they had grown 8 million years ago, remarkably well preserved in their original shape and wooden material. Archaeologists said that to view these ancient tree trunks, one must descend about 60 meters into a 3,500 square meter excavation site. The remaining tree trunks here have diameters ranging from 2 to 3 meters and are about 6 meters tall, although the original swamp cypress trees would have been between 30 and 40 meters high. During the geological period known as the Miocene, which began over 10 million years ago, this area was covered by a vast lake along with mud and swamps. This was the Pannonian Sea. The special preservation of the tree trunks was due to a sudden sandstorm, which covered the forest with a thick layer of sand up to 6 meters deep. While the upper parts of the tree trunks were gradually destroyed over time, the parts buried under the sand were perfectly preserved. These 8-million-year-old tree trunks still feel like wood when touched. Since they are buried 60 meters underground, they have not been displaced, and they were not damaged by exposure to air and sunlight, two factors that typically harm the longevity of wood. However, the Bucabrani swamp cypress trees are becoming dry and rigid due to the loss of cellulose, which serves as the adhesive for the cells in plant membranes. The organic material in these tree trunks will be sent for age testing. By studying the growth rings of the trunks, scientists will be able to determine climate changes throughout the tree's lifespan. Dear friends, the world is full of wonders and mysteries that remain unsolved, puzzling researchers and scholars. The discoveries mentioned above are just a tiny fraction compared to the countless other findings out there. However, we hope these discoveries today provide you with a new experience of human knowledge. Thank you for watching the video. If you found it interesting, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss other exciting discoveries. For now, goodbye and see you next time.